All right, Orioles update. It's December 2030. And I don't normally update at this point here in the winter meetings, but I figured it might be fun too because I've made a few trades, nothing too unexpected, I don't think, based off my last episode. But then I'm considering a couple other trades because I'm here at the winter meetings and the trade talks are heating up. So I figured I'd let you know where things stand and what I'm thinking of doing. Real quick, the Mets signed Mookie Betts, who is now 38 and still solid, to a 2-year deal at 16.6 per year. Bueller also went to the Mets, even though he's out for next season. They sent him to a 2-year deal. All right, good luck to you. I signed this guy, Flawed Prospects, out of the Philippines. Declared himself eligible for Major League Baseball. He's 27. He's a reliever, and pretty good stuff overall here. That'll work. Movement is good, which is important in Camden Yards. Control is fine, and he's got 2 really great pitches. So we'll see. These guys don't always adjust to the major leagues right away in their first season, but hopefully he'll be okay and be able to be a big piece of my bullpen. Whit Jr., third baseman, had spent his whole career, I think, with the Royals, who drafted him, and he is now a Brewer. And then Blaze Jordan, who had been the Rays' first baseman for quite some time, went to the Yankees. And not a lot of other movement yet here in the offseason, but we just started the winter meetings, and I will show you a couple of the trades that I made to start. I made a few trades where I traded guys who are like out of options, and I got minor league guys who are just kind of depth pieces who might be okay. Like I traded Mike Gerber, who was out of options, got a minor league outfielder, and then like it's guys like this that I get back in that. Like a guy who really could be a relief piece for me if he just bumps up his control a little, but if not, might not be a major league player. So a few deals like that. I traded Kramer to the Twins in the same kind of deal, but then the real meat here is, so traded to the Astros. I just traded Dylan Lawson, who's really been a solid player for me. 2.9, 1.0, and 1.3 WAR in split duty between starting rotation and the bullpen. But he was out of options. He was 30. He wasn't giving me my rotation this year. And since he was out of options, I wanted to replace him with a player who had minor league options to have that flexibility in my bullpen. So Lawson was gone. For the same reason, Jack Perkins, my 8th overall pick from 2022, also gone. He was fine for a couple seasons for me. Last year he put up 1.1 WAR, but really never blossomed. But the Astros liked Lawson and Perkins a lot. Lawson's going to be in the rotation next year. Looks like Perkins like their 6th starter / long man. And they also liked this minor league third baseman who put up an amazing year in Bowie for me in just 63 games. So he's 27, but he's going to be in AAA for them. I think he's kind of like minor league depth for them that they see as like a replacement if somebody gets hurt. But then the big one was they were willing to take on 40% of Asa Lacy's contracts. He was owed about $20 million for next year, and I will eat about $12 million in exchange for those players. The Astros were willing to take on about $8 million of it. They then released him, and he doesn't have a job yet. I was hoping he'd retire so that contract would go off the books, but no such luck. And so I got back 2 flawed prospects, basically. I have this guy, I don't know if flawed, but this guy's just mediocre, Jonathan Davis, who is 24 and put up a decent season and half a season in AA. He can play a solid third base. It's big home run power, but maybe not much else beyond that. I don't know that he's anything more than a bench bat, and when you can't really play anything other than the corner infielder, you're not going to be a great bench bat. But hey, maybe that home run power will develop a little bit more, and he can get the avoid Ks or contact up a little bit, and he'll be a good player because really he's only a small step forward from becoming a viable major league player. I got him. And then I also got, where do we go here? This guy, Pat Eves, who was a draft pick in 2028, a round 5 pick. And it looks like they'd kind of abandoned him being a starter even in A-ball. He started 16 of his 26 appearances, and he put up 0 WAR, ERA and FIP both over 5. And he's 23. He'll be 24 when the season starts. So we'll see how this pans out. More of just a flyer. He's got good work ethic. We'll see how that goes for us. And then a big trade, like I said, I was planning on trading Dylan Carlson because I just did really well with him, only playing 53 games last year because of injury, and he had the down year before that, and he's 32 now, and he had 2 years left at $17.8 million. So I was surprised that many, many teams were willing to take on a lot of his deal and still give me pieces back. I was really surprised by that. So I did retain 5% of his contract. And I also gave up Roy Ayash, who is a minor league corner infielder. He's probably a major league player. Maybe, he's another bench bat. He's okay. Dodgers really liked him, though. And then a minor league pitcher who was really good for me in Double-A last year, but he's 33, who the Dodgers liked as minor league depth. And I got back one prospect for him. There were 3 or 4 interesting prospects available in a deal for Carlson. I could have gotten more prospects if I wanted to eat more of his money, which maybe I should have done, but I didn't. I got back this guy, Willie Gomez, who the Dodgers drafted when? He was their first-round pick in 2027, and he's made an appearance on the top 100 prospect list twice at 96 and 86, but has since fallen off. He spent last year at age 25, his second season in Double-A, and he put up 1.4 WAR in 146 innings. We'll see. His walks are a little high. He only struck out 5.6 guys per 9. A negative strikeout to walk percentage is never a good thing. But my scout still thinks he could maybe be a league average starter for us. OSA thinks even higher, but he's going to need to take a step forward here because he is going to be 26 next March. So, but the big deal is we got Carlson's contract off the books and freed up like $18 million. Brought back a bunch of guys on auto renewal, arbitration. And so then let's look at my team here. This is my projected rotation. Patino, Schilt, Corrales, Delgado all back. And then Donovan and Correa will battle for that 5th spot. They're AAA guys. I'll go more into them in a team preview for next season. But the thing is, I have a lot of guys who are free agents next season. And I'm not going to be able to keep all of them. You can see Henderson, Sabato, McKinley Moore, Livian, Delgado. The thing that concerns me with Delgado is, with my pitching is Patino's 31 now, right? He's going to start to fall off here at some point. I'm surprised that he continues to put up 4 WAR per season for me. I'm not expecting that to continue even maybe as soon as next season. And then Corrales, I only have for 2 more years. And then Ben Schilt is obviously solid. But if I, say Patino becomes ineffective and then Corrales, I only have 2 more years, and then Delgado 1 more year. In 2 more seasons, I could be looking at like a barren starting rotation. So I started looking around at what I could do with Delgado because he's still really highly thought of pitcher by, OSA has him at a 65. My scout has a 70 potential. Both think he's elite, or borderline elite, which he could be because he's got top of the league stuff, top of the league fastball, amazing slider. The thing that doesn't play great for me and why he's never been able to, I think, become an ace for me is his movement in Camden Yards. Only a 50. You really need 60-plus movement from your starters in Camden Yards to really have a great starting pitcher. And so, he put up a 3.4 and a 2.4 and a 3 WAR season. I think if he went to a pitcher's park, he could be phenomenal, but that's just not going to happen for me. So I started looking around at a few different trades, and there's one I was considering here that I don't think I'm going to do because I'll show you. So these 2 prospects you can ignore. They're throw-in. They're flawed prospects who maybe have some potential. But Jake Judkins, who won the AL Cy Young just last year in 2030, this past season, put up 5.7 WAR. The year before, he put up 5 WAR. Amazingly, he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, only 6.6, but he gives up like no home runs. I guess he gets really weak contact. He doesn't walk anybody. And he's under contract for 5 more years at a super reasonable deal. So you only have him until he's 32. The most you're going to pay him is $15.2 million. That's a guy, man, that's going to cost you a ton, and it does. So they want not only they want Delgado, but they want Franklin Sanchez, who is number 88 prospect in baseball last season. Came up and had a solid half a season for me. And, for a while I was thinking I was willing to give him up because he's not a superstar. He's really solid, even over solid. He's a solid hitter. I think maybe he's a league average hitter with no power. But he's super fast, and his fielding, man, it is hard to find a center fielder with a 75 rating, 75 range, who's also going to be league average with a bat. I mean, if he's league average with a bat over a course of a full season with that glove, he's arguably an all-star player. And while I'm always hesitant to not trade players. I'm always willing to trade guys who aren't superstars, so I'm getting back a superstar. I'd be getting back a superstar player. But center fielders of this quality with the glove and bat combined are so hard to find, and they're so important to your team. Having a 75 center fielder just makes a huge difference. So that's the part of the price I'm bulking out, although the rest of it is not cheap. So Delgado, obviously. The next piece is Kelvin Aponte, who is like the number 112th prospect, I think, in baseball. He's my number 2 pitching prospect. First round supplemental pick, 41st overall in 2029. He's really struggled in rookie ball for 2 years, but both my scout and OSA still think that he's, maybe a number 2 starter, and he's an extreme ground ball pitcher. He only throws 89, but excuse me, I gotta take a sip here. Been doing a lot of talking today. And I mean, he could have some elite pitches, but he's so far away that I'm fine giving him up. He's not the sticking point for me. And then Sacco Voogd is a minor league pitcher who I think will be like a long man, maybe middle relief. Might be able to start for me sometimes in a pinch, and he's going to be on my 40-man next year. So that's taking away from my major league depth. Ron Walters, a similar guy who might just kind of become long relief type 4A, AAA minor league shuttle or major league shuttle type guy who's kind of up and down. He put up 2.1 WAR in Bowie last year, though, 7th round pick from 2025. So really, Delgado, Voogd, Walters, Aponte. Delgado and Aponte, a little painful to give up. I think where I draw the line is Sanchez. And again, normally I am more than willing to pay a painful price for a superstar player, a superstar pitcher. But it's just, and I have great outfield depth in my system, but I don't have anybody who has this combination of glove and bat. So it might be something where in 2 years Sanchez is like a league average player and his bat has not taken off and he's all glove and maybe a 4th outfielder. But at 23, if I didn't have other interesting deals on the table, I might do this trade. But I have found other deals where I don't have to give him up and I'm still getting back good value. So this is the most interesting other trade that I found. I'm giving up Delgado and Aponte. Again, really good pitching prospect, but it's only 1 year of Delgado, and that's why it's costing me so much more on top of him. And I'd also be giving up Jerry Gamez, who's a 24-year-old power-hitting outfielder. Hit 24 home runs in 490 plate appearances for Frederick last year, 153 OPS plus 3.9 WAR. Looks like he could be a solid power bat, but I'm not sure that he's more than a 4th outfielder. I'm not sure he's an everyday player. He's a lefty, maybe he platoons. And I have so much outfield depth, I'm fine giving him up. Now, the pitcher I'm getting back, it would be Ignacio Aguilar from the Giants, who was the 1st overall pick in the draft in 2026. So when you look at this, you're like, wow, this guy's amazing, right? His movement is awesome. His stuff is elite. Fastball and knuckle curve are amazing. Changeup, it's good enough, I think, for a 3rd pitch. He's projected as a borderline starter, and the reason is that he barely has a 3rd pitch. You're not going to be able to start. So if this changeup, I think it's fine where it is. As long as it doesn't regress, I think we're good. And if it looks like it could become really good, although he's 27 now, how much better is he going to become? And his control's fine. With all those other markers, his control's fine. Now, the thing is, he just hasn't gotten that much major league experience yet. 24 and 25, he was up for parts of the year. And 26 was his first full year up starting. I'm sorry, I was saying by age there, which was the year 2030 at age 26. He got 32 starts, 2.1 WAR, ERA of 3.56. His FIP was almost a run higher. It's a little concerning to give up 1 home run per 9 pitching half his games in San Francisco. Another thing that's really surprising, he's only got 7.2 strikeouts per 9. Not really sure what's up with that. He benefited from a good BABIP. So he did not have an amazing rookie year, and he's very cheap because of that. $1.54 million in arbitration, projected for only $1.87 next year. But this is a guy that if he takes the next step forward, I mean, the sky's the limit. Like, he's a Cy Young candidate. If he can get that changeup up a little bit, I don't know why his strikeouts aren't better with that kind of stuff, that kind of fastball and knuckle curve. Maybe he just doesn't throw the changeup enough. There's another interesting piece they're willing to give up, which Angelo Ucita, who he won the Cy Young in 2028 with 8.3 WAR, and then somehow didn't win it with 7.8 WAR in 2029. And then last year he had a shoulder injury. They are willing to do the deal for him, but he missed 5 to 6 months with shoulder inflammation at 27. Shoulder injuries worry me. And he had shoulder inflammation in 2025. You know, that's worrying to me that he hasn't. I don't know. He came back last year and wasn't very good in his 4 starts. My scout still thinks he's good. OSA still thinks he's good, and by good I mean awesome. But his stamina worries me with those shoulder injuries. Is that going to dip, or is just his effectiveness going to dip? Obviously an elite pitcher until that shoulder injury. And then the other major thing is he's signed for this year at 17.6 and has one more year of arbitration at 18.4 estimate for next year, and then he's a free agent. So Aguilar still has 4 years of team control. So it's 2 years of Uceda versus 4 years of Aguilar. I kind of like rolling the dice here with Aguilar in the hopes that he can become an ace for me. You know, it's a decent amount to give up, but it's not a crippling amount to give up. Again, you know, Delgado with the 1 more year left and the fact that he doesn't have great movement in Camden Yards, I think his ceiling is limited for me. And the fact that I can give up 1 year of him and then 2 prospects for 4 years of this guy, I kind of like that. This is the deal I'm leaning towards, probably the deal I'm going to do. Although it would be awesome to have that Oakland A's pitcher, but there's no one else still taking the deal other than Sanchez. I messed around with it. I tried to basically they're like, we'll take Sanchez or my 2 best hitters, Maldonado or Armendariz. So I think I'm going to hold on to Sanchez and settle for Aguilar, who I think could still turn into an ace for me, but it's not without risk with kind of where that changeup is at and his strikeout numbers are low, but we'll see. So that's the offseason for now. I'll be back on probably with the season preview. See y'all later.